Hey, this is Jim Lee, publisher, chief creative officer at DC, and this is day 2 of DC at Home. And today it's all about Batman. Kicking it off, we've got Batman Joker War. This is led by Batman group editor Ben Abernathy, who's talking to James Tynion IV, who's the writer of Batman. We've got other great creators like Dan Jurgens, Cecil Castellucci, Jorge Jimenez, and Brad Walker. So take it away, Ben.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Ben Abernathy, Batman group editor here at DC. I'm being joined by some very talented storytellers to talk to you about one of DC's biggest events of 2020, Batman the Joker War. Joining me today is the architect of Joker War, Batman writer James Tynion IV, along with his incredible series artist, Jorge Jimenez, and his translator and fellow artist and my old friend, Bruno Redondo. Welcome.
Hey, Ben.
Hi.
Hey, Jorge. Hey, Bruno. It's good seeing you all.
It's great to see you guys. Welcome to Comic-Con 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
So, James, I was thinking back to our mini summit in Burbank last December when Joker War all started to come together. What do you remember from that meeting?
Honestly, that was really the moment that I feel like everything started picking up steam. I had been announced as taking over the Batman title just a few months prior, and I had started doing some work, but the size and shape of the story kept changing. And there were a few things that all happened in quick succession. You came in as Batman group editor. We found out that we were going to be joined on the book by the amazing Jorge Jimenez. And we realized that, okay, this Joker element to the story that we had been building is going to be blown up into a full event-sized storyline. And that meant that we were really going to be able to let all of the pieces breathe. And so that's the moment that we started talking about little things that, I had conversations about, okay, if Joker's going to have henchmen, we need a top henchman. And realizing that we were going to have the room to really develop each of these pieces, that's where a character like Punchline started to be developed. And I remember, I think it was right around that summit that we were writing out the character summaries that then we were sending to Jorge, who had just, you were just finishing Justice League and you were about to start drawing the characters. And it was just this exciting moment where we realized, okay, Joker War is going to be this big story. And I'm just really excited that it's all about to come out and people are about to see it.
And Jorge, what did you think when James and I came to you with the Joker War concept?
Bueno, lo primero que pensé fue gracias. Thank you so much, because, muchísimas gracias porque Batman es uno de mis personajes favoritos. Estaba haciendo en ese momento el Batman 90 y me dijo, ¿qué tal si vamos con Joker, con la guerra de Joker, Joker War? Y fue como, ¿cómo? Y un evento. Queremos hacer un evento grande en el que se líe y venga todo el mundo y tengamos diseños de personajes nuevos. Y para mí todo eso sonaba como genial. Entonces estoy muy agradecido y además confío mucho en James, porque James ha trabajado muchísimo con Batman y además me encanta como guionista. Entonces todo era perfecto. ¿Bruno?
He was working in Batman 90 by the time, and the first that he felt was a big thank you, because Batman is one of his favorite characters. Batman is huge. So when you came to him about a big event with Batman, with a big Joker War, he felt he could be his great moment about a big character. So big excitement and a long answer.
It's perfect.
And it's amazing. Now joining us is the current Detective Comics artist, Brad Walker. Hey, Brad.
Hey, how is everybody?
Good.
Doing good.
Talking Joker War. So, Brad, your arc on Detective has helped flesh out the Joker's preparations for war. Can you tell us a little bit about that setup?
Yeah, we'd already started a big Two-Face arc that we had talked about in sort of broad strokes, and it was probably a little more intimate originally. And as things started to ramp up for Joker War and James's plan started to build, I think everybody sort of saw an opportunity to bring other books into the mix and make the event feel bigger. And as Pete and I discussed the story more, we started to see areas in the Two-Face story that could be helped by including Joker anyway. And I hadn't gotten to draw Joker really, maybe a little bit in some previous issues in Flashback, but the idea of putting him in there in sort of a master planner kind of role that would facilitate the things that James wanted to do was sort of just a perfect opportunity and made our story feel bigger and more epic. And we go back to sort of New 52 era in the latest issue that's out, so I'm not spoiling anything, to sort of explain his involvement. So it made everything really exciting. I think probably for the story itself and for the readers, but then also just to me creatively. And I know I can speak for Pete to say he adores Joker, and any chance to use Joker he would jump at just as much as I did. So it all just worked real well, and we were all happy to do it.
Well, I can say, Brad, between yours and Jorge's Joker, I have nightmares 7 days a week now. So well done.
Yeah, he's so much fun to draw, and there's so many. You can go in so many different directions with him. Just speaking visually, you know, he can have a moment where he's a silly character, and then, you know, at the drop of a hat, just be terrifying, and it's a fun visual conceit to sort of flip back and forth and be as schizophrenic as he is as a character.
Right. Well, thank you for joining us, Jorge and Bruno, all the way from Spain. Have yourselves a great day.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's great seeing. Yeah, and I'm really excited for everyone to see all of the amazing stuff that you've been drawing. We've been working on this for so long. I am just so excited for everyone to see Joker War. It's coming up.
The Joker is such an overwhelming force of nature, we couldn't confine something like Joker War to just the main Batman title. So I wanted to introduce some of the other creative talent that will be part of the Joker War experience. Batgirl writer Cecil Castellucci and Nightwing writer Dan Jurgens are joining us now.
Hey.
Hello. Hi, guys. Welcome to Comic-Con 2020.
Such as it is, yes.
Okay, gang, well, tell me briefly what you thought about the Joker War concept and how your titles would fit in.
Well, for me, it's something that worked out very, very well, because we were just getting to the point where we were dealing with Rick Grayson, who had amnesia and did not remember his time as Robin, as being part of Batman's world. So having the Joker available to help bring him back into that world was absolutely ideal.
Yeah, it timed out and worked really well with that storyline. Now, Cecil, how about you with Batgirl?
I feel like Batgirl has been going through a lot of enormous growth, you know, ever since You're the Villain. And so I think that to have the opportunity to, you know, Joker is obviously a core wound in Batgirl's life. And for Joker War, it was, you know, like there was like the knock on the door. And I knew that I really needed to sort of address her and the Joker in their sort of the Killing Joke. And so me and Jessica Chen, my editor, had a really great conversation about trying to make it sort of be a mirror of that, an opportunity for it to be a mirror of that issue, that classic issue, but where we have Barbara a little bit more in power of the situation and sort of reclaiming the moment in a certain way. So it was a real great opportunity, because I've been trying to make Batgirl grow in a, you know, in sort of new ways. And that was it was a great gift to be able to directly address that core wound in her story.
Yeah, absolutely. Batgirl 47 is a tremendous issue, and it's available now. So I think everyone should do themselves a favor and check it out. And that's a wrap for our Batman Joker War discussion for San Diego Comic-Con 2020. I'd like to thank James and Brad, Dan, Cecil, Jorge, and Bruno for joining us today. It was a blast to see all of you. I think that once people get their hands on all these relevant issues, I think they'll be just completely blown away. So we thank you for tuning in. And remember, Joker War began earlier this week. So be sure to pick up a copy of Batman 95 immediately.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Ben, ¿puedo decir algo?
What?
Can I
Can I say something?
Sure, please.
Amigos, he trabajado muy duro durante esta cuarentena en la Joker War. Llevo 100 páginas seguidas porque quiero que sea un producto sólido y que guste a todo el mundo. Así que, por favor, dadle una oportunidad porque estoy seguro de que os va a encantar.
Hey guys, I have been working so hard in this Joker War pages. I'm over 100 pages by now, so I hope you enjoy a lot what we are doing. We are trying to make a solid piece of art, so please give it a chance and enjoy, guys.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Very good. Yay.
Bye.
Next up, we have Dark Knight's Death Metal. This is the follow-up to the super successful Dark Knight's Metal series. We've got the same amazing creative team, got legendary writer Scott Snyder and superstar artist Greg Capullo. We've got the executive editor Marie Javins. Bring them together to talk about how they're going to surpass and outdo what they did in the first big epic event. This is one not to be missed. Take it away, Marie.
Welcome to the Dark Knight's Death Metal panel at Comic-Con at Home. I'm Marie Javins. I'm the editor of Dark Knight's Death Metal and the entire Metalverse. I'd like to welcome Scott Snyder, the writer, and Greg Capullo, the penciler of Dark Knight's Death Metal, returning to the Metalverse for 7 more issues. So let's hear a little bit about 1 and 2. Can you guys catch us up to where we are right now as number 3 is about to come out?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you to everybody out there. I'm glad you're staying home and staying safe. And also thank you for showing this book so much support. We're really grateful. But above all, thank you for supporting comics in this crazy time. I know we're all worried about it, but we're all in it together. And this story is very much about that. So for us, it's something that we've been planning since I pitched the original Metal at New York Comic Con back in 2016. This was always kind of pitched as the sequel, if anyone liked that first one. So the idea was to go bigger and crazier with this and to say more with it too. It's really a story where the heroes find that everything has turned against them. It starts with the Batman Who Laughs having been given control of the Earth, and he's pulled hundreds of evil Batmen out of the Dark Multiverse. So there's like dinosaur evil Batman and wizard evil Batman and all kinds of manner of evil Bruce Waynes. And he's ruling over the Earth, which he's reconfigured literally to look almost like a big continent shaped like a bat. So the landmarks are still kind of there, like there's still a bat cave and there's still Coast City, but they're all twisted around. So it's this really wild, transformed DCU where he's ruling and he's picked a few heroes to kind of look over the different areas. And so it begins with Wonder Woman, who's our big hero, trying to figure out a way to fight back against him. So number 1 really introduces you to the whole world. And she and the remaining heroes that are kind of under his thumb are trying to figure out a way to overthrow him and get the world back to what it was. And what they learn is that they have to revisit DC's great history of crises, capture that energy, and almost use it to kind of restart everything once and for all. So in 1, I don't know how much I should spoil. Like, I know 3 is about to come out, but I'm not sure if I should give away the ending of 1 and that stuff. But 1, she does fight back. Yeah, it's one of my favorite pages we've ever done. But she fights back in a big way and takes out the Batman Who Laughs. And then 2, at the end of 2, we see that she's gathering the heroes. Batman, who's sort of a rebel, who's leading an army of the dead because he has a Black Lantern ring. And they're going to go up to the prison of heroes, which is up in the Sun in New Apocalypse, to save Superman and the rest of the DCU to come help win back the universe. So that's kind of what it's about, and that's the plot. But really what it's about is it's a story that really says that through thick and thin, no matter how bad it gets, we're all in it together in comics, and we'll find a way out of the darkest times.
So, Greg, what do you have to tell us about drawing number 1 and 2? What was your favorite part?
No, all of it. Scott's throwing me all the red meat I can consume. And I just got to back up and say, I really miss being at Comic-Cons in person and seeing all the people and talking with you face to face and hugging you. But apart from that, man, my job is such that if I didn't read the news, I wouldn't even know there's a pandemic going on. I never leave the house. I'm always drawing. So anyway, that is part of my life. It's like, hey, so I'm immersed in this deep, crazy fantasy world that Scott's given me. So even that helps me deal with the news because I'm like, it doesn't matter, man. I'm visiting Castle Bat. And so I have monster trucks that have Batarang wheels. They talk to you because it's got Batman's essence in there. You got a burnt out Swamp Thing. You got Wonder Woman with a chainsaw. You got T-Rex, Batman. I mean, this stuff is mind-blowing. Good times. This is rock and roll. And our Stonehenge, for those of you who know Spinal Tap, is going to be full size, not the little shrunk down one that showed up by accident. So anyway, you got to tune in for this stuff because it's bombastic. We're lighting the place on fire. We're going to burn it to the ground. Missed me, didn't you? I know.
So number 3 is going to come out in just maybe a week or two. And how are we going to turn it up to 11 or 3 to 7?
I mean, every issue, I want this to be almost like the one where we leave it all on the stage. I mean, for us, we have a lot of things we want to do, to be frank, out in the world together as a team. And coming back to do a sequel for Metal, even though it was always in the plan, was kind of like the big finale of our kind of over-the-top DC event kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's 10 times bigger, honestly, than Metal. You're going to have an army of Lobos and a whole evil multiverse and all kinds of stuff popping out that you never expected to see. But so 3 itself, you meet the Robin King. That's a really big one. He kind of is born in issue 2. But you see him for the first time in issue 3 really interact with the heroes.
I'm going to see him right now.
Yeah, there he is right there, right? That's actually from issue 4, so that's a big spoiler. There he is, and he's holding somebody's severed head also. So without giving
here it comes. Oh, my, that's nasty. That's the embodiment of 2020 right there.
That is single panel of 2020, right? But I love him because I'm just writing his dialogue now. And the thing that's great about him is that, and his whole history, you'll learn, and what his secret is, who he is, all of that stuff. But because I've seen a lot of speculation, but I love him because he's really cheery and he pops out and, the JSA sees him, Flash and Dr. Fate and everyone. And they're like, wow, who are you supposed to be, kid? And Flash is like, and that belt is a choice, And the Robin King is like, yeah, thank you so much. Good morning. He's like, I worked really hard on the belt. It actually contains a way of killing every one of your friends. And I've worked on it for years. So he's like, you, Barry, I actually dug up in my world, your dead mom, and I stuffed her into one of your little goddamn flash rings. So he's like, hey, you want to see your body? And then Alan Scott, the other Green Lantern, is like, whoa, and he's going to attack. He's like, whoa, and you? He's like, on my world, I hunted down both your children, and I cremated them, and I made this composite out of their ashes, and then I powered it with the black thing. So it cancels out your powers, and I can beat you to death with it. And he's like this 10-year-old kid. So he's very evil. He's definitely one of our darkest creations. But I love him because I feel as though what I want the heroes to go up against here is something that says everything you believe us to be, people, everything you hope we are, we aren't. And you want representations of that with the Batman Who Laughs and with the Robin King. The eviler and darker the villain, the more the heroes are challenged by what they see in human nature. And so it becomes harder and harder to be hopeful. And so, as he's evil, he's not evil just to make him something incredibly fun and dark and twisted. He is, but I mean, he's those things, but it is also, it's meant to be something that you read and it hits you in a way that's poignant. Because he says all your hope, all your kind of aspirations for us and for you, they're just nothing. And I'll show you why. So that's why he's a very spooky kid.
Is this even over the top for you guys? At this point, like you got Robin King, Castle Bat, Army of Lobos. even if you guys are ready for this, because we've been living it every day, are the fans ready for this?
Listen, I just got to tell you right now, I was excited when I got to draw Lobo et al. This is a spoiler for me. I did not know that an army of Lobos is coming my way. I don't know how to cope. I don't know how to cope. Oh my God, it's too awesome. So listen, if I'm reacting like that, how do you think fans are going to react? My God, an army of Lobos. I think I died and went to heaven. Oh my God, I hope I don't get coronavirus. Anyway, yeah, no, but listen, let me get this back. Again, there's 2020, the embodiment of 2020 right there. That's how we all feel, right? But it'll be over soon. It'll be over soon, we hope. Anyway, I'm just going to be fixating on Army of Lobos probably for the rest of today.
That's just one small thing. Wait till you see. I'm telling you, the finale of Death Metal, it comes with like 6 and 7. Was one of the other things I should talk about, honestly, for a sec, is that it's a tribute to DC's history. And what I really want is for everybody that's ever been a fan, whether you're picking this book up as your very first comic, you're a fan, or if you've read for, 60, 70 years, 80 years, I want you to feel rewarded for your dedication to these characters and to what they stand for, and to all the great stories that have come before. So it builds on a lot of different DC events, from Crisis on Infinite Earths to Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, but also 0 Hour, all kinds of things. Doomsday Clock plays a big role in it. We want it to feel connective, and we want the message to really resonate that way, where it's almost like every story matters. The whole history of the DCU matters. Everything's in play to say, what do we stand for and what do we want to be going into 2021? So for us, it really is kind of it's a crescendo. And as much as it's bonkers and over the top, and it's done in a way that really speaks to our priorities and the way Greg and I and John and FCO really love to work and kind of go full blown, it is also a love letter to the DCU and to you guys, in a way of saying thank you for all the love that you've shown us, but also the love you've shown these characters that mean so much to us as well. So yeah, it's a big event. It has big impact, big repercussions, all that stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy the way it goes. So yeah, Army of Lobos is one thing, but it's like, what do you see? There's a lot I haven't told Greg yet, but I want to surprise him.
Can I show the flashes running?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then. Let's see here. We got, okay, opposite direction. There we go. This is us racing in to the year where we have a vaccine and when the coronavirus is behind us, so we can return to our fun. Run!
So Scott, you're going to bring in James Tynan and Josh Williamson, and a whole lot of other creators, like some of your favorite people, some people you've always wanted to work with, into the Metalverse.
Yeah.
You're packing in all this story into the Spine series. What's in the one shots? What does that do for the Metalverse?
Yeah, well, so we're doing a bunch of specials, and a lot of the supplementary material, like these one shots and the tie-ins and stuff. We're trying to do what we did with Metal, where I think one of the reasons people responded as well as they did to it was that we wanted to make everything pretty essential. We didn't want you to have to buy like 80 books to get the story, and yet everything is really modular. So, if you buy the specials, it will definitely enrich your experience. But if you don't, you can read Metal straight through as Metal, just me and Greg and the team. But they're really fun, and we wanted to make sure that you're getting more than your money's worth for each one. So the first two that come out after issue 2 are a guide to the Metalverse, which gives you essentially a grand tour of the DCU as it stands now, with a mysterious guide who's a big surprise as well. And it tells you how the world became what it is. And we've got incredible creators lined up on that, from Becky Cloonan to Chip Zdarsky, just up and down, just great lineup. And then we have also a guide to the evil Batman, a Dark Knight's guide. So you get everything from like the Batman Who Laughs lives in a living evil Batman castle that changes, like one of those Escher drawings and stuff like that, and contains secret rooms and everything. And so that it has the history of him, it has the history of the dinosaur Batman, has the history of an evil baby Batman. So there's a ton of fun people in that book as well, from everyone from Marguerite Bennett and Jamal Igle to Garth Ennis, right? And so it's like, it's a super star-studded thing. Daniel Warren Johnson does the evil monster truck Batman Transformers world, so I'm very excited about that one too. So yeah, we're really and Chris Priest also. We're thrilled is doing a story in there that is a good one. So for us, it really is something that we wanted to have it be a celebration of talent throughout the DCU, and to try and bring in people that would just kind of, make the roster shine in terms of our Dark Knights. So we all call them our Dark Knights, all of them. And then, so those are the first two. And then as the story goes, after issue 3 in August, when we hit September, we're going to do a bunch more. So we haven't officially announced those yet, right? We haven't, have we? We have not, right? So I can't go too far. Yeah, I was about to spoil a lot of them, but I will not. But I'll say that we have more great talent coming then. Again, it's been very fluid about how much we're going to do. So it might even expand. We're not sure. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is make sure that every piece of this book and this event is worth more than your money. And it's something that feels packed with good story, good art, creators that excite you, all that kind of stuff. So, we're really proud of it. We feel like you guys rewarded us for trying to keep those priorities in metal. And with this one, we want to make sure that we're really doubling down on that.
Yeah. So bringing it back to the Spine series, to death metal itself, I don't want to spoil things, so I'm not sure how you're going to answer this, but Greg, what was your response when Scott said, will you draw a Dr. Manhattan getting a brain transplant?
At this point, anything that comes from, it surprises me, but it doesn't surprise me. He's proven himself to be quite insane, deranged, and a bit evil. So, it's just like, it's more Scott giving me all crazy stuff. No, Scott has a very deep toy box, and he seems to really have his finger on the pulse of what he knows fans really want, because, sometimes I don't know, right? Especially I don't know the DCU as well as Scott does. And then when I will tease something and the fan reaction to what Scott has presented, you go, wow, he really knows just how to push their buttons of what they're going to want. So the Manhattan thing is definitely one of those buttons. I saw everybody going, oh my God, as soon as I teased a little bit of an image. So Scott is a lot of fun to work with. And so my reaction's always the same. It's like the reason I got into comics and love comics from a little boy is because of that excitement that just makes you go, wow. And Scott always hands me scripts that have stuff that's going to make me go, wow. I always say, and I'm going to blow his head up a little bit, I'm sure, but that's okay. He deserves it sometimes. I've been doing this for a very long time now, longer than some of our fans have probably been alive. And for Scott to hand me scripts that excite me, if it can do that to me, who I'm kind of a little bit jaded, right, after so many years of doing it, then I just know that if it's exciting me, who's kind of got a callus, then fans are just gonna light up with delight and excitement when they see the stuff he's handing me. So it's all a marvelous ride. I
would just say that knowing what your abilities are, like I wouldn't think of so much of the crazy stuff if I didn't get excited thinking about you drawing it. So I'm like, you know what, I bet Greg would draw really well, like a Joker head in a jar that's on a robot suit was a thing. And then you're like, yeah. Or a giant monster bat motorcycle that's made out of the bone, like that.
Well, sometimes I got to tell you a quick aside, right? So Todd McFarlane and I, we stayed close, even though I don't work on Spawn anymore. And every once in a while, I'll bitch about Scott, what he's doing to me as far as labor intensive stuff he's throwing at me. And I'll be look at this kid, what he's doing to me, trying to kill me. And John will go, well, to be fair, I'm not in my Todd mode. I won't try and imitate him right now. But he says, if I had an artist like you, I'd be doing the same thing. I'm like, I can't even find an ally. So I'd be torturing you too, Greg.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Scott. We're going to wrap it up now. Thank you.
Can I say one quick thing? Can we also just throw it back to you, Marie, also, and just say thank you to you? Because honestly, Marie has been our rock queen from the beginning with this thing, and holding so many different creators together, holding the whole story together. Amazing advice, amazing friend. Just thank you for everything as well. Because
you are welcome.
You're a manager, like our
like I'm the roadie. I got to keep it all together. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
You're a paper doll. I'll fold you how I want. You're not my news. I tie this knot. Scars on my fingers, bruises my neck, crashing my chains, washing my wreck. Scars on my fingers, bruises my neck, crashing my trains, washing my wreck. Scars on my fingers, bruises my neck, crashing my trains, washing my wreck, washing my wreck, washing my wreck. Cut the hands off, kamikaze into your soul. Kamikaze into your soul.
Next up, we have DC Black Label titles. Yes, that's the name of the actual panel. We couldn't come up with a better one, but you know what? You don't need it because it's Black Label. And Black Label is all about bringing the best creators on your favorite characters, giving them the creative freedom to tell stories that are out of continuity, that can have beginning, middle, and ends, that kind of stand the test of time and be evergreen titles for our library. Speaking of libraries, we have the lead of this panel, our librarian and archivist, Benjamin LeClaire, and he's going to chat up Sean Gordon Murphy, Katana Collins, Daniel Warren Johnson, and Cami Garcia about all their cool upcoming Black Label titles. So take it away, Benjamin.
Hi, I'm Benjamin LeClaire, the manager of the DC Library Archives, and I am your lucky moderator today for the DC Black Label segment at the DCC at Home panel. And we're going to talk to a number of current Black Label talent, discuss their process, how they interact with the label, and what it allows them to do. But let me introduce a few of them to begin with. Let's start with Cami Garcia.
Hi.
Hi, Cami. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Now, Cami has written, you may know her from our YA Raven book, but she has been writing a really exciting, interesting perspective of the Joker-Harley relationship, and Harley's background is called Joker-Harley Criminal Sanity.
Yep.
And that's still going. How many more issues do we have for that?
I think issue 4 is out, and then we have a special issue, and it goes to 8 issues.
Fantastic. So this is something you want to check out. But let me introduce the rest of our panel. We have Sean Murphy and Katana Collins from their home.
Hey.
Hi, folks. Now, Sean Murphy, you know from a lot of different stuff for different labels with us, but at Black Label, we had the Batman White Knight, and now the Curse of White Knight, and now we have another exciting project. Let me not say it. Let me go ahead and let you introduce. The two of you are working on what that's coming out soon?
It is called White Knight Harley, right? I should probably know that. Huh?
Batman White Knight Presents, right? Harley Quinn.
Presents,
yeah.
And the two of you are writing this together, is that right?
Yeah, you've been more plotting.
Yeah.
Like you've helped with plotting, and I'm the writer on it.
I'm the producer, and I do the easy job, and then she has to actually write the damn thing down. So she's the co-writer. You
created the White Knight universe, and now she's going to just take that ball and run with it.
Yep.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic. Let me introduce our third panelist. We've got Daniel Warren Johnson from home as well.
Hello.
And he is the writer and artist of a really exciting book called Wonder Woman Dead Earth.
Yep.
How many more? We have more issues of that coming. That's not done yet, right?
We have one more issue that comes out in October, I believe. So.
And that's going to wrap up the whole series.
Yep.
Well, cool. Well, thank you all of you for coming here and talking with the folks at home. We wanted to focus first on Black Label, the label itself. For all of you, what does being in that space allow you to do that you can't do as a writer or artist in the regular DC universe?
Order? I mean, I think what's fun about it is it's not in continuity. So we get to take the characters and play with them and kind of put them in, you know, slightly different environments or create different relationship dynamics and then play around and see what happens. So for me, that's the fun part, is kind of taking a character and using the core of that character to create something new.
Now, Daniel, you took a classic character in Wonder Woman, but you didn't put her in a contemporary Earth. You have a post-apocalyptic world. What? Well, how did that trigger into? What was it about Wonder Woman? Was that a decision of yours? Did someone guide you that way?
Well, when Andy Coury, my editor on Wonder Woman, came to me to talk about maybe a new project, he specifically brought up Black Label and thought that it would be a good fit for my writing and art style.
Right.
And so I immediately pitched him all of these very like far out ideas with like Dial H for Hero.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we were thinking more of the Daniel Warren Johnson take on a A-list hero or heroine.
I love that you went to Dial H for Hero, that you thought that was the space that you had to live in. But they said, what about Wonder Woman? Yeah.
I pitched him an X-rated Dial H for Hero, but that didn't go over well, but that's fine. So with Wonder Woman, he said, you know, more of an A-list hero with your take. So I really felt like most of all of the amazing stories that had been done with Batman and Superman had already kind of been written and drawn. And just for me personally, I had never had much interest in Wonder Woman. Just the visual take on the character and just her vibe. I didn't dislike it, but it just never made me want to pick it up off the stand.
No, you definitely personalized it, and it allows for personalization. Now, Sean, before we get to the current series you're working on, when you created what we were calling the Murphyverse or the White Knight universe, you know, you had a chance to personalize Batman and make a version of this. Now, this was something you got to do before Black Label had started, but clearly in some ways you were sort of the trendsetter that kind of created the label.
Yeah, I was confiscated by Black Label, and they label slapped it on me. So I don't know if I was the first, or it doesn't really matter. I mean,
you're the first graphic novel to ever have Black Label on the banner. So for us collected editions people on the shelf, you're number one. So
there you go.
But you were asked to really create a more personal take in Batman, and have able to put in all of your other influences. I mean, you see the influences in the animated series and the movie, and you brought, you know, I mean, you didn't get stopped with creating your own Batmobile. You brought in some other Batmobiles and some other cars and references. But now, this space, being in Black Label, and even if you've done just the independent series, how does this allow you to kind of explore those things in a way you might not be able to do on a regular Batman title?
Yeah, well, you know, if I was working on the main line, I think there'd be a lot more cooks in the kitchen, which is totally necessary. I'm creating the mainline books, which fuel all of us. But I like kind of being by myself, doing as much of it as I can, and not really checking in with people other than my editor and his assistant. I sort of like not asking for permission. I'd rather just write it and draw it and show DC. And, you know, if it's really a problem, I'll fix it. But generally, I know the rules of what Black Label is. So I've been happy to sort of stay within the confines, but also be able to explore Batman in ways that other books can't. Like I killed Alfred.
You've done some other changes to the Wayne family that we won't spoil for people, but there's some big upheaval of the continuity and the stories of that.
When I pitched it to my editor, when I pitched Curse to my editor, he said, "You can't do that to Bruce Wayne. Like, that'll never fly." And then he's like, "Actually, you should do that because you would never get away with that in the main line." So he kind of greenlit the idea.
What I love for all three of you is that you have your own piece of this universe. These are characters that exist for other people and other creators and mainline titles, but there's something cohesive in all three of your worldviews about your characters. They're very strong. They are evolving. They see their weaknesses. Now, all three of you have a very strong female character. We have Harley Quinn in both Cami and Sean Katana's books. And Daniel, you start with the first icon of female heroes, Wonder Woman. Thank you for bringing back the origin of a mother's love being blown into somebody. Was that one of the things that resonated with, like, that's still a great, even though we're in a modern story, that's still a great ancient mythos?
Yeah, I did my research on all of the different kind of takes on the creation of Wonder Woman, and it was important to me that, you know, like, kind of romance and like any sort of like kind of human element was taken out, so she really did feel like a god. So her mother kind of breathing life into her with the clay and pouring the blood of all the gods that she stole into the clay that she makes to make her the strongest. That was me trying to kind of bring something new to the table, but just make sure that like it's a mother's love and her craftiness that births Wonder Woman and makes such a unique character.
You have a classic story and then you add a new element to it, and that's the pieces where they really fit together. Cami, I want to talk to you. You've introduced a Harley that is sharp, she is strong, she is intelligent. This is a side of Harley in her backstory that we've never gotten to see before.
Yeah, I think Harley's always been really smart and clever, but one of the things that I really wanted to show was her using her professional skills. So she's a forensic, she's a psychiatrist, and I wanted her to be a forensic psychiatrist so she could double as a profiler. And, you know, it's a really specific skill set. Ed Kurtz, Dr. Ed Kurtz is a friend of mine who he writes the special issue with me, but also he's a consultant on the entire series. And
right,
so,
you give credit in that first issue to talking with him, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. And I really wanted to see her, you know, using those skills the way a real forensic psychiatrist would. And so she is kind of moonlighting at the GCPD with Gordon as a profiler and consultant for the GCPD on their toughest cases. And in this case, it's a serial killer. It's a serial killer who is evolving, and they bring her in to help catch him. And of course, you know, there's no greater serial killer in fiction to me than the Joker. He's amazing.
Right. The body count for the Joker is pretty much unequaled, except for the apocalyptic, you know, the dark sides and stuff of the world. I mean, your average villain doesn't have a body count like the Joker.
No, but also, I just love him. He's so cool.
Well, you have a very cool Joker. I mean, he's kind of suave and tough. And talk about the working with a profiler. Obviously, this kind of crime fiction is something you're interested in, and your brain likes to wrap around it, so that you're able to make a friendship with a person who does this sort of for a living. He
consulted with me. We became friends. His old partner his old partner is the parent of one of my daughter's friends. So that's how we met. And he was my consultant on an X-Files IP called the X-Files Origins Agent of Chaos, which is a kind of origin story for Mulder as a teenager. And it became canon. And Ed and I worked very well on that together. And so when I started playing around with this idea, and I talked to him about how I wanted to write Harley, but I really wanted to give her due. And instead of Harley and Joker falling in love, what I really wanted to do was Harley hunting Joker. Because, you know, he's such an amazing character. And if you're not going to do Batman, you need him to have a worthy adversary. And I knew that if she was written as a forensic psychiatrist and profiler with Ed's skill set, she would be like the kind of person you do not want hunting for you.
No, and that comes across. Her competence has never been stronger. Let me go over to Sean and Katana. I want to talk about how we got Harley in the White Knight universe and how did you know that she was going to be did you know in writing her from the beginning how important she was going to be to the overall storyline, or did it just kind of come out from the character?
Yeah, I knew I wanted Harley Quinn to be the White Knight in a way. Like, she sets everything up. She knows Joker and Batman so well that she creates conditions where she's sort of pulling the strings on everybody. And it's not really revealed until the final issue where she admits to Batman, and he kind of figures it out. He's like, you did all of this, didn't you? Like, you were there at the beginning, you set up the pills, you told Joker about them, you were guiding him all the way. Like, why did you do this? And she said, like, well, I think you and Joker had a lot to learn about each other. And before you can condemn him, I feel like you at least should get to know Jack Napier, who was a different personality that only she really knew about.
No, it's the strength of that. Again, it's the competence of Harley that a lot of people don't show. I mean, I think she's got this indomitable like spark or spirit that always shines that people recognize, like why it doesn't seem inorganic for Batman to have a soft spot for her, because it's clear at this point he does, because we all do.
Yeah.
And now that she's there, where are we? I don't want to give away anything about where we're going. Now, Katana, are you excited to be writing Harley Quinn?
So excited. She's been one of my favorite characters for a really long time, probably ever since Sean introduced Batman to me.
Yeah.
When we were in college and he showed me Batman the Animated Series. She's been a big fan favorite of mine. I was really intrigued by Harley specifically. And again, I don't know, spoilers, maybe. But when I saw that she was having the twins in Kurtz, Jack's twins, and I saw this opportunity for telling a story about a woman who is navigating these very new waters, both as a first-time mother to twins, who's now having to do it as a single mother, maybe suffering from some postpartum depression, as well as the superhero side of this, or I guess she was a supervillain. I don't know. Your universe is a little different. And, you know, what does this world look like now? This world that no longer has Jack, and Batman, who became one of her good friends, is now in jail. And
I just love the idea of a postpartum Harley as something. What could be more Black Label than that, right? These are the types of little, like, really real niches of life that affect people with these characters, and it fleshes them out. But you wouldn't talk about that in an all ages comic, not because it's not appropriate, but just because that's not what the tropes tell you to do.
Yeah.
And so you have this freedom to do it. Have you learned more about Harley from the writing process?
Oh, absolutely.
She speaks to you, right? And Cammie, the same for you? I mean,
and also mine is for sure not appropriate for all ages. Because
it gave me nightmares in the rereading. So.
The thing that is most people don't know is that all of the murders in the series can be executed in real life. And
that's not our advice for you at home. Do not in any way.
But I'm saying.
But you're accurate. They're real. They're not just some made up fantasy.
Yes, you could. I mean, so they are a little graphic. I mean, there's there's body parts, there's autopsies, and there's some melted body fat, and that's kind of my jam though. That's what I like to write. When I'm not writing like very appropriate Teen Titans, I don't have a lot of middle ground. I'm very dark. I'm in the teen realm.
Now, Daniel, you have not just Wonder Woman, but you have Hippolyta, and you also have a really amazing interpretation of Cheetah in your series. Now, those characters, were those other characters part of, Cheetah and Hippolyta and the Amazons? Was that something you got into from reading, your research on this, or did they have a resonance with you from the past?
So to be honest, I had never actually read a Wonder Woman book.
And that's true for a lot of people, but they're amazing when you find them, right? I mean,
I did my research after I got the gig. I really liked what Wonder Woman was about. Her vibe underneath all of that history and of her character. But one of the things that I noticed is, just for me, I was never super interested in her rogues gallery. So I picked the one that I thought had the coolest potential, which was Cheetah, and then I just gave her a cheetah hand. So, and then I had a fan. I showed a fan / friend, I gave him like a sneak. They came over to my house, and I showed them the page that I had just drawn of Cheetah with the cheetah hand showing up in the fighting pits in issue 1, and he was like, "Dude, you should have made both of her hands cheetah hands." You're right. And
it worked for you.
In issue 4. No, at the end of issue 3, she holds a gun, and it's very difficult to have a character hold a gun with a cheetah hand. So
see, you were right, and you just didn't know why yet. The color in this book is striking. I want to talk to you all of them. I mean, one of the amazing things about Black Label is both the size and the paper stock. And, years ago in the 70s, Neil Adams would say that they were basically printing comics on toilet paper, right? The quality stock. But what you have with this Premier label, with expanded size formats for some of your issues and just great paper stock, is that the colors are so rich no matter what palettes you choose. Daniel, you've got such incredible bright color in yours. And I want to talk to Cami about the use of black and white versus color. And Sean, if we can talk about your palette, which really is pops, even though there's a subtlety to it. So, sorry, that's me rambling. But Daniel, let's talk about the use of color and what this the physical format has allowed you to do. And did you have any idea that your books were going to be this big right off the bat? That they're going to be magazine size?
Yeah, Andy had told me that that's the idea they were going for. Sorry, my daughter just got home. I was totally okay with that. It only took a few pages for me to get used to it. It's more or less the same thing as like, regular comic size as far as the working process is concerned. And as far as the color, my colorist, Mike Spicer, he's been fantastic. He's been on all of my projects, Extremity and Murder Falcon. He did great there, and so we made sure to bring him. I made it a deal breaker. I was like, Mike comes with me, or I don't do the book.
Excellent. Well, you really were well served from it. Unfortunately, we're going to be running out of time in the panel. Anyone else have any last thoughts about Black Label or your books that you want to give to the folks at home?
I just wanted to mention Matteo Scalera is actually drawing ours, and he's doing an incredible job. It's almost like an animated version of Harley by like Don Bluth or something like that. And coloring him, we have Dave Stewart. Yeah, we got two just like rock star artists to tackle us, so we're really excited about that.
And Cami, we should give a shout out to your amazing artists.
My guys and gals. So Nico Sion and Jason Badauer are the artists, and then Annette Kwok does the color, and she's insane. And in the one shot in the Secret Files, David Mack also does interiors.
Oh wow! Okay.
And he's doing the main cover for the Secret Files, which gives you a real insight kind of into Joker and Harley. But the cool thing is, honestly, they're my co-creators. Miko has been on this from the very beginning, and he helped design, this version of Joker and Harley from the ground up, which was awesome.
And you have let me just get that last question. Did you know you're going to have that flip where black and white was going to be contemporary and the color would be the flashback?
I kind of found Miko even before they were already sending me his his portfolio. And what I noticed is he did all these old style black and white covers for Marvel, which I loved. And he also did a series, Werewolf by Night, which were the pencils that I picked him based on, because it's raw. And I just said to Jim Lee, it's such a shame, like we're going to color over his pencils. And Jim was like, well, we don't have to. And he said,
thank you. This is what happens when you have artists in charge of things. They make choices like that. Like, no, it's done.
Ask him what he thinks. And he goes like, I don't do my own color. He's like, I would love to just do, grayscale. And so everything from Harley's POV that she's seeing in real time is in grayscale. And then the past or cutaways to Joker in color.
Which is just such a flip from convention. So again, I want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing. As a reader who has to read lots of comic books, which is not a punishment, I just want to say that all of them are striking, and I love what you're doing with the Black Label. So keep pushing those boundaries of making these comics interesting, cutting edge, and contemporary, so the new audience can enjoy them. But really, just keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right, that ends day 2 of DC at Home. That's all we've got in terms of programming. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We love your support. We love your passion for all things DC. I want to thank all our amazing creators that participated in all these wonderful panels. And I want to thank the folks at Comic-Con again for setting this all up and allowing us to share Comic-Con with you guys virtually, safely at home. If you guys want to learn more about DC beyond this event, I urge you guys to go to dccomics.com or to follow us on all our socials at DC Comics or at the DC Nation, Instagram and Twitter. So thank you very much. Please stay safe, and I hope to see you guys in person next year.